Hey guys, well, the thumbnail that you see, you might say, well, wait a minute, that guy looks nothing like the people on the thumbnail. And that's understandable because ChatGPT made that thumbnail after doing an analysis of the debate. So let me show you what the actual debate thumbnail looked like. Most people know, but this is Daniel Mir. He's from Iran, and and you can see a picture. I'll bring this up so you can see it. I think I'll bring it up if it'll let me. Download thumbnail. So not much of a thumbnail, but on SFT's channel where we actually did the debate, it's a little bit better thumbnail. But that's what I look like, as you can see. But yeah, ChatGPT created this, and we're going to see what ChatGPT said about my first debate. And this is exciting because I've learned from people over the years of doing this. I think I've been formally debating for about 2 years, but this adds a whole nother objective dimension wherever I can learn to improve. And people that think that I only care about debates and only winning and stuff, no, because I know that ChatGPT is going to show that I didn't win all my debates, but it's going to give me a standard or criteria, and that's good and that's fine. So let's just see what we come up with as we're going here. All right, so what I did was I put the document in. I got this too large right now, so you can't see it. I put the transcript in, and I said, who won this debate? Be as objective as possible. So this is what it said. Based on an objective analysis of the debate title, you won't believe what happened in this free grace debate, where Charles Jennings defended the free grace view, eternal security, and Daniel Mir argued that a believer can lose salvation. The stronger case was made by Charles Jennings. Here's why. Argument, clarity, and structure. Charles Jennings presented a well-organized and detailed exegetical argument. He grounded his case in biblical theology, repeatedly distinguishing between justification, sanctification, and reward inheritance, using clear theological charts and frameworks. Daniel Mir, though passionate and sincere, lacked a consistent theological method and often made theological claims without tightly linking them to exegesis. For instance, he often cited verses like Hebrews 10:26 and Hebrews 6:4 and 6, but did not engage their context with precision. Point 2, exegetical and linguistic competence. Charles used Greek terms like kate, in, and sozo appropriately, showing awareness of syntactical range and semantic nuance. Daniel, by contrast, repeatedly dismissed Greek and Hebrew studies, saying the King James Bible alone sufficed. While this reflected conviction, it weakened his academic rigor in debate, especially against a trained exegete. 3. Textual and contextual engagement. Fire emoji here. Charles consistently interpreted Hebrews 6 and 10 through the lens of Old Testament typology, drawing parallels of physical death and loss of reward, not loss of salvation, an argument well supported by his references to Moses, the Exodus generation, and the 70 AD judgment. Daniel, while quoting Hebrews 10:26 and 29 and John 15, did not sufficiently grapple with the alternate interpretations or provide contextual rebuttals. He assumed his interpretations rather than demonstrating them. Logic and consistency. Charles demonstrated logical coherence, particularly when discussing the three imputations: sin of Adam to humanity, sin of humanity to Christ, and righteousness to Christ to the believer, making a clear theological case for eternal security based on completed substitutionary atonement. Daniel leaned more on emotional appeals and anecdotal theology, e.g., personal betrayals, COVID testimonies, which, while heartfelt, did not substantially advance his theological case. Debate control and responsiveness. In cross-examination, Charles asked Daniel direct questions and showed control of the conversation's theological depth. For example, he questioned Daniel's interpretation of Romans 8:1 and showed its validity as experiential, not salvific. Daniel often pivoted or avoided answering directly, asserted that certain views were dangerous without proving them biblically. He also struggled to refute Charles' key points, on positional versus experiential salvation. Winner. Conclusion. Charles Jennings. Charles won due to superior exegetical argumentation, more structured theological presentation, consistent biblical interpretation supported by Greek grammar and context, better responsiveness during cross-examination. Daniel showed sincerity and personal conviction, but his lack of exegetical depth and failure to interact meaningfully with Charles' typological and grammatical arguments made his case less compelling. If you're open to it, I can offer a scorecard breakdown, e.g., argument strength, rebuttal, precision, clarity, engagement, or improve your future debate prep materials. And so that's what it does. Here's the debate scorecard. Let me reduce it down. See if we can get it all on the screen. That's a big scorecard. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a little bit at a time. So they got me first and him. And so you got the opening statement, clarity, and structure. That's the first one. So they gave me a 9 and they gave him a 6. It said, why is that open? Charles had a coherent opening organized around biblical typology and textual outline. Daniel's opening was personal and emotionally compelling, but lacked structural clarity. Exegetical depth. They gave me a 9 and they gave Daniel Meir a 5. Charles offered detailed interpretation of Hebrews 6:10 and other texts using Old Testament background and Greek grammar. Daniel cited verses without analyzing context or alternative readings. Use of scripture, 9 and gave him a 6. Charles connected passages across both testaments, Numbers 15 to Hebrews 10. Daniel quoted verses like Hebrews 10:26, but didn't explore the broader context or counter interpretations. Theological consistency, 9, and they gave him a 5. Charles maintained a free grace theological system grounded in imputation, justification, sanctification, distinction, and reward loss. Daniel made theological assertions without a systematic underpinning. Engagement of opponent, 8, and gave him a 6. Charles asked specific questions and responded directly to objections. Daniel tended to pivot, often accusing Charles of Catholic-style arguments without substantiating the claim. Responsiveness to cross-examination, 8, and they gave him a 5. Charles handled pushback with references to Greek theology and charts. Daniel often repeated assertions and admitted he did not know key terms like the Greek word for soul, suke. Use of original languages, 10, and gave him a 2. Charles skillfully used Greek terms and syntax to support his terms, e.g. kate, in, hamartano. Daniel rejected Greek and Hebrew, relying on the King James English. Delivery and presence. It gave me an 8 and gave him a 7. Both showed passion and conviction. Charles was more controlled and focused. Daniel was emotionally engaging, but occasionally drifted into off-topic or anecdotal tangents. Logical argumentation, a 9, and then they gave him a 5. Charles employed deductive and typological logic. Daniel leaned on emotional reasoning and personal stories rather than demonstrating clear cause and effect from scripture. Overall persuasiveness, they gave me a 9, and they gave him a 6. Charles gave a compelling defense of eternal security. Daniel had some moving stories, but lacked textual support on scholarly depth to shift the burden of proof. Final tally out of 100, Charles 88, Daniel Meir 53. Wow, that means Daniel Meir did better than Rogue Calvinists. That's interesting. Summary. Charles Jennings provided comprehensive, biblical grounded, and theologically nuanced defense of eternal security. His use of typology, e.g. Moses, the Promised Land, Greek syntax, and judgment versus reward distinctions anchored his case. Daniel Meir brought zeal and sincerity but lacked exegetical method, Greek understanding, and consistent theology. His appeal to Romans 8:1, Hebrews 6:10, and John 15 failed to address counter-arguments effectively. Suggestions for Charles Jennings going forward. Slow down. Yeah, that's one thing everyone always says. Well, part of it is there's so much information I got to correct and simplify, but we're getting better at it. Slow down, key slides so audience can absorb the logic of complex charts. Define Greek terms aloud, like suke in 1 Corinthians 5. Gotta say soul, to make the original language advantage clear. Rehearse anticipated objections like you sound Catholic, and have a brief clarification to shut that down. E.g., appealing to earlier sources doesn't make one Catholic. That's basic research. 4. Use more New Testament examples of failures and believers, Ananias, Sapphira, Demas, to broaden the application of your inheritance loss model. Okay. Would you like me to turn this into a PDF or visual scorecard? I can also help craft a post-debate reflection video script or graphic summarizing this. And I said, yes, please. Your debate evaluation PDF is ready. You can download it using the link below. I wonder if it's the same thing as what I'm looking at now. Let's see. Oh, that's weird. Oh no, I just closed it. Dang. It's all right. Chat GPT. I think this is it. Yeah. Let me know if you want a YouTube thumbnail version, highlight summary graphic, or post debate script too. So highlight summary graphic. So I said yes, please, and that's what it gave me. That sort of looks like Daniel Mirror. I guess they make me look very engaging here. Eternal security versus falling away, and it misspelled something, but hey, that's cool, you know. So that was interesting, guys. Hey, sorry. Hey, where'd everybody go? Oh, there y'all are. Okay. Yeah, so this is a cool, man. I'm gonna do, I can't sleep until I do the David Preston one, because the David Preston one was challenging. So hopefully I can do the David Preston one, because I'm excited about this. Anyway, check out more content. I did my Rogue Calvinist debate a few minutes ago on this. So hopefully this brings objectivity and lets y'all know I don't just care about winning, because I know ChatGPT is going to say I lost on some of these debates. And we can evaluate that. And these things need to be tweaked, and other people can use ChatGPT and share their results, and we can evaluate it. We can get Chris Morrison to talk about things, as he always talks about technique and debate and scoring and all of that stuff. So Wise Disciple, you know, there's other people out there that can evaluate this stuff even more. But yeah, well, guys, thank y'all. God bless.